The corner of my bedroom.
So it is your bedroom. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it. It's cool.
Yes.
It does kind of look like a green screen now that I look at it.
Does it really?
So
I
maybe
like
we
it
could
though.
just take a picture and you could use a green screen and you could stop that nonsense in your bedroom.
I don't mind it. I
It's
think it's
fun to set
cool.
it up.
I think it's cool. Yeah.
This is my time. I'm on the rise. Can't hold me down. I'm too fly. This is my time. Ready to shine. Brighter than all of the lights. Cause when it's game time, seconds away and the game's on the line. There ain't no doubt in my mind. Beating the buzzer like, this is my time. This is my moment. You better bet that I'm on it. Ready and set, I'm on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Be Stellar podcast. I'm your host, Stella Atwood. This is mom producer Meredith Atwood. And on today's episode, we have Stephanie Price and Brock Yost. Yay! Yay! So, most of the teens know who y'all are. And for those who don't, I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves. So, Brock, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Coach Yost. I live on the property of the pit. Technically, our farm joins right up to the property of the pit. You know, this is my home. This is, my wife and I live on this farm. It's a family farm. We've been here for 10 years, and it's been in her family for 150. So just kind of grinding here. The pit's down the road. We've been running that affiliate for about 12 years with my wife, Autumn Yost, Triple River CrossFit. So I'm definitely an affiliate guy. I do class workouts with all the affiliate peeps. I program for the gym. And I also am a strength and conditioning coach at our local high school. I spend about 4 to 5 hours, 3 days a week, so 15 hours a week there. And I'm obviously also the director of the Teenage CrossFit Games.
And you have a lot of free time, clearly.
Yeah. I
I
plugged my microphone into my laptop about 4:59, and this thing started at 5 p.m. So if that tells you how tight I'm like running, you can say I'm tight or I'm not as organized as I should be. I think it's a little bit of combination of both, probably.
Yeah. Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah, so I also am a member at Triple River CrossFit. We've been there. My family's been there since 2019. And since 2019, I have been involved in the CrossFit event world because of my son, really, Azariah. He was a CrossFit Games athlete in 2019. And I learned pretty quickly about all things competition, like, because when you're the mom, right, Meredith, you're the agent, you're the you're all the things. You're a little bit coach. You're definitely the financer. You do all that stuff. So
punching bag. Don't forget punching bag.
for sure. I mean, you take all the digs and all of that, and you take it and you do that because you're the mom. Yeah. So I learned a lot about competition via my son, but absolutely in love with the CrossFit modality. I see it as a absolute life changer in so many people's lives, mine included. I'm 53, postmenopausal, and I've been doing CrossFit since 2013. My 62-year-old husband quit smoking after 35 years and started CrossFitting. And my 13-year-old son is now coming up in CrossFit. My 18-year-old daughter is in the gym every day. And then, of course, my son was an elite athlete. So I love the modality of CrossFit and all that it offers physically, emotionally, mentally, and community mostly. And my absolute allegiance and admiration is for the Yost and what they're doing at Triple River CrossFit at the pit. And they've given me personally just such a great playground to come in and take some of the things that I do pretty well as far as organizing and participating in the vision that Brock has and being able to execute that also via the teenage CrossFit Games.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. How did the whole pit start? Like the pit teens, where did that start?
Okay, so I'll just go quick. The pit started, my son and I were on a walk here at our farm, and we walked over, and there's a big hill at the pit, if anybody knows, Leave No Doubt Mountain. that debuted itself in 2020 when we first did our first event for the teens. We did like, I think it was like 30 heavy D-ball squats and a sprint to the top of the hill. It's like a 250-meter sprint to the top of that hill. You've seen the hill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, every time we're there, Stella's like, I hope we don't run that hill today.
Yeah. It's gonna make another appearance here real soon. Look, yeah. So we were walking around, we sat up on top of the hill, had one of those like really special moments, looking around the property that had been sort of a dumping ground for a while with tires and trash, and it was an old gravel pit, so there was a bunch of stuff just scattered everywhere type of thing. And that was going to be our neighboring property. So I sort of had this vision to move our gym that was in town out to the pit, and started manifesting it, started promising some things to my son in that moment, about 5 years before we actually took it into actual control with the Jones family, who are investors there. And we just kept dreaming about it and pushing it forward, and it finally became a reality. So fast forward to 2020, the pandemic was early stages, everything. When it came on early, it was almost like a snowstorm that was supposed to hit. You're like, is this really as bad as everybody's, you didn't know quite how bad it was going to be. So we kind of were just on standby, if you will, on everything that we were doing. And then CrossFit made an announcement about canceling the games for the teenagers. And I was coaching Azariah at the time, and Miguel Buzuru, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but and a couple other athletes, but basically they're all teens. And I was heavily involved with the Price family, back and forth, coaching back and forth. And we were just sitting in the living room one night, and Steph sent me a message and said, hey, they canceled the games for the teens. Do you want to do it? And I literally looked over at Autumn and I said, dude, they canceled the CrossFit games for the teenagers. You want to try to pull this off? And she's just like, let's do it, So we all sort of got our heads together, and Steph committed to, I was like, dude, I'm going to need you to like come in big and like step up big this year, because number one, we're under a global pandemic. The gym's shut down. Like all these weird things are happening. We're pivoting, getting different jobs, like middle, you know what I mean? Just surviving any way we can. Our members are stepping up. We're doing outdoor work, COVID stuff. But basically, long story short, after that, Steph and our team crushed 2020, even though our head coach showed up day one with COVID. So we had like COVID tests. Our head judge showed up day one with COVID. And so we're like navigating all these different pieces of adversity and pivoting, but we only had a few athletes. We invited all the top athletes that made the games technically via open, and we ran with it. And from there, I guess you could say sort of the rest is history, Every year has gotten better and better. Steph and I have talked about, early on we dreamed about doing the games, and we were like, man, it'd be so cool if we got the CrossFit Games. And then after we didn't necessarily think that it might be coming this soon, we were like, let's turn this into more of like a festival thing, because the kids love it. They love being here. It's like a big family reunion for the kids. And we just identified that it was a space for them to all feel like there were other people out there that were like them, because it is a sport that it's very unique. You feel isolated a little bit if you're into it so much, and the other high school kids might not be, or even just friends if you're homeschooled or whatever that are in your area. They're not all sorry, Stella, crazy enough to dive in and learn how to snatch, learn how to do muscle-ups, learn how to handstand walk, learn how to do all these crazy high technical skills, and stick with it enough to go to this level, So to get them all in the same room, or so to speak, at the pit, all in the same competition where they could talk to each other and hang out in a very chill environment, that was the main goal. So we wanted to turn towards a festival. So that's kind of where we're headed now, is festival world here at the pit, now that we have the games. And I'm sure there's a million things we could talk forever just about this one subject, how it all got started and where it is, what 2020 has between now and then. But yeah, I mean, anything I missed, Steph?
Well, no, but I wanted to, Stella, I know you're interviewing us, but I would love to hear your experience with the pit as far as how you first heard about the pit. And then, of course,
This
you've
is
been
funny.
here several
This is
times.
funny.
Yeah, and I want to hear your perspective just as a teenage girl who loves to work out, because I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but I want to hear it from you.
So I kind of knew of the pit like beginning of 2023. It was like February. Like I've seen some of my friends go, online friends that I've never met in person. And they were
I think
all
it was
like,
before that, Stella.
it
I
was
think
like 2022.
Yeah, it was when we were at that other gym we do not speak of.
Do not speak of.
Which I will edit out.
Edit out. And like everybody would post, all the girls, they would be like, "Oh, I miss the pit. I miss the pit." And I'll be like the heart hand emojis, and I'd be like, "What's so great about the pit?
We'd be like, "What's a pit?
What's the pit? Like, what is it?" And then I was like, "Okay, I'll do the qualifiers in July of 2023. Like, I've never done an in-person competition before, so I'll try." So I did the qualifiers. And then I came to the 2023 pit team throwdown, and immediately I was like, "This is amazing!"
Right when she stepped there, her heart hands came. She's like, "What's happening? My heart hands."
Well, and what about it, Stella? What about it is amazing?
Just the atmosphere. Like, when are you ever in a room with the fittest teens on earth who all have the same goal as you and put in hours of work inside the gym? Like, yeah, all of us are in the same, like, all of us sometimes go to school and, like, you're in rooms of teens, but it's not the same. Like, you don't feel that energy. It's an energy that I feel like only teens feel when they're in a room with that many other teen athletes. It's just, like, the energy is insane. Like, you like, it's just, all of us are like birds in a tree who are just constantly talking.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
I think
almost
being
like
nature too, right? Like being in nature at the pit and the woods and,
I mean, honestly, can you guys still hear me? Oh yeah. So that's kind of that was the whole vision of the pit, is like, I always thought that was like such a allure to me that CrossFit games started at a ranch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it was such a cool thing to me that this sport or this like weightlifting and gymnastics atmosphere, that's sort of like, you see the gyms working out, they're all in like a which is totally cool. I have a lot of good friends that have really awesome gyms, like in mini mall or in a smaller space or whatever. But then when I heard that it all kind of started at the ranch, I'm like, dude, that's the grassroots. That's what we need to do. And our whole goal when we started CrossFit early on was to preserve the grassroots of what CrossFit is. And I think that competing in that type of atmosphere is just so, you know how they say, like, there's beauty and simplicity. Like, it's so simple with nature, but also so just beautiful and fun and exciting. And it brings that level of like mental health to the game. And when you're out there, like, say, with your friends, and you're going to walk on a trail, or there's some water and you can be, cooling down in the pond or paddleboarding or whatever it is. And then you can go right up to the gym and get after it with some, high level fitness, doing some ring muscle ups and, an echo bike or whatever it is. I think that to me was the whole vision. And I'm happy to hear that you guys feel that extra energy, like that extra topping of energy with it being at a ranch like that. And I think that all goes back to Dave Castro and Glassman and their whole vision initially with what they're doing here.
Yeah.
You also said, Stella, something that we've heard a lot, which is the kids came the first year they came, and they were like, "We never get to be together. Like, we're never together. There's nobody like me at my school." And I mean, it was just, I love that analogy of birds, like bunch of birds in a tree just clacking. Oh my gosh. And we also added that element of you all, at least in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, and Meredith, you would appreciate this. I was literally poring over all the health department regulations and this and that about how we could have them do this, but we had the kids camp together. So not only were they now these high level, Mal O'Brien was here, Tudor, Megs, Olivia Kerstetter, like all not only were they competing with one another at the CrossFit Games, but they were sleeping together. I mean, don't edit that, but you know what I mean? Like they were sleeping in the same cabin. So they would camp together and they just had such a riot. They just had so much fun. And so we've heard that over and over again. And a lot of times when I do a lot of writing, different things, I'll write your competitor friends, and then they would say, oh my gosh, this is when I get to see all my friends. And so, yeah, they compete against each other and you guys are crazy. Like every evaluation, all the kids always say, we want more. We want more. We want to work out more. Oh, goodness. But anyway, but then at the same time, it's that camaraderie. So you're hanging out in, the athlete warm-up area with your buddies,
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, the games, like in the warm-up area, was different from the pit. I remember being at the pit and like, it wasn't as big pressure as it was at the games. Like in the warm-up area at the games, it's the CrossFit Games. Of course, you're going to be like hyped up and not really wanting to talk to anybody. But then here I am just yapping away like 5 minutes before the event starts, before we go on the floor. And I'm just talking and talking and talking.
You're the bird in the tree.
I'm one bird in a tree, just talking to everybody. And like people are annoyed at me, but that's just how I roll. Like, and I think being at the pit for the first time in 2023 is where all of that started, where the podcast started, like where that energy that I'm going to be that person who is going to be talking, who's going to be having fun no matter what. Like, I think that's truly where that part of me started, was at the pit and deciding that every single one of my competitors are going to be my best friends. Y'all don't have a choice. So I
love that.
Do think that's where it started. It's very special.
We tried to bring, and I guess you tell me if you think we were successful. We tried to bring that flavor to the CrossFit Games, even though the CrossFit Games is the CrossFit Games and it's its own body, it's its own entity, if you will. And we weren't, CrossFit didn't ask us to change it or make it the pit. At the same time, they sought us out because of that very thing that, So talking about the games, Stella, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, did we bring that pit flavor to the 2024 games? And then maybe we can start talking about the 2025 games.
Yeah, I kind of liked the pit, like being at the pit for day one, especially the run, because it's like you start off, especially the bus rides. I loved the bus rides to the pit because it was day one and you just get to know everybody.
All the drama about the bus rides, and the kids love the bus ride.
We love
We'll
the bus
just
rides.
say that.
We love the bus
That
rides.
was, yeah.
If you guys only knew, that is, if I had to check off, Brock knows this about me, but if I did check off 2 or 3 things that I am most proud of over the last few years, it is that organizing that bus ride. And that day I was just watching someone's video and you can see me in my bright yellow shoes, just running around, just basically cheering because all the kids got on the bus. The buses came. The police are here. They're all on the bus. They're going to the pit. I felt like if it had all ended right then, I would have been happy. So, I mean, it was a big deal for me personally to be like, it worked.
It's impressive getting that many kids on, like, how many buses? Like 4? It was like 4 buses?
6 buses.
Six buses, that many kids, making sure they're all on it.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Shout out Janie too for
Yes, Janie's amazing.
Yeah.
Athlete
Put her
control.
superhero cape on for me there and
Seriously.
bailed me out on that one. She helped us out a lot. The buses is like, that was like a piece that we specifically wanted to happen on a school bus, because when you're on a school bus, it's literally like you're over your arms on the seat, you're talking to the person behind you, you're sitting sideways, you have like a view of like 13 people, right in your little window here, and everybody's talking. It's a total vibe. Usually there's some music going somehow. And people tend to bond, and it was the perfect amount of time, 30, 35 minutes or so, where they could just, get it close enough, sight of each other, we could spur up a relationship, and then, but not too close because you're getting ready to compete. So
Yeah. So I liked that bus ride a lot, mainly because I'm just a social butterfly when it comes to CrossFit. But I did like having the run at the pit because, when you see runs at the CrossFit Games, they're running on like pavement, or they're doing shuttle runs, or they're doing runs on assault runners. Like, it's not the same. But getting to run through a trail, and a lot of people did not know what the trail would be like. I thought it was going to be the trail y'all had at the 2023 Pit Team Throwdown, but it was like a different one. It was way more flat than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Jerry does those trails every year, and he's always just super creative. He's awesome. He loves doing it.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
I like that trail. I think
Yeah,
that
just
was
quick
good.
one on that trail, on the run. That was our big snap, or our big tough piece of adversity for the weekend, because the timing guy had to go to the secondary timing. We had to call him in. Yeah. So the way we had that set up is we had a camera at the finish line, and then we had the camera had the clock and everything in it. And something happened to where one of the heats got messed up on the chip timers, or like 3 or 4 people's heats got messed up on the chip timers, and it kind of threw everybody off. So it was like freaking me out, because I know it stinks to wait, but it couldn't be wrong. You know what I mean? So I actually called that guy back in while we were up at Wings on like Sunday or Saturday. Forget which day. I think it was Saturday. But him and Boz and Brad sat down, actually with a couple other people from the CrossFit Games team, I think, but mainly Boz, Brad, and the guy that ran the race, all sat down, watched every single person come across the line, and made sure everybody's time was right. But it gave me a nice sigh of relief that we had Boz there, and the guy was awesome. And honestly, I feel bad for him because it really wasn't his fault, but it was like a malfunction in the chip. But I kind of just didn't want to release anything officially until we knew for sure, even though people were, really wanting that leaderboard to update. And obviously I did too, but I thought it was better just to hold tight, make sure we had it right before we moved on. But that's kind of what happened on the run. Just to kind of let everybody know on that one, because I haven't really had a chance to break that down.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, because Stella was like so firmly in whatever place, and she was just glad to not be like at the bottom. We were like, yay, moving on.
I was like, I don't care really about the run. Like, if it was like the D-ball event, I don't know what place I got, I would be like, where's the leaderboard? Because it was a run, I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll know someday. Don't really care. I tried my best, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some people were flipping out about it.
Big test. Yeah. I mean, this is a test of fitness, and we take it very seriously. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously the whole the community and the pit and all the good feely stuff at the pit is one thing. But when you qualify for the CrossFit Games, it's not just a big fun time. I mean, it's a fun time, and we want to help make it as fun as possible. But the test is prioritized. You know what I mean? So making sure the scoring and everything is right is a big deal, to us. So, yeah.
How did y'all come up with that sprint event, the 600 meters in those nasty, nasty sand hills?
Dude, that's all Brock. Brock, you guys speak to that. I don't know what goes on in his brain, but it's pretty crazy.
It was mean. It was mean.
Wanted to test a couple different energy systems monostructurally, running. I mean, so we've gotten crap in the past for not having C2 rower or, and a C2 bike or something like that in our events. And I'm like, why? We're testing monostructural hard work here. Like, what, we have to have a rower in there for what reason?
Yes, you do.
Like, we're testing an energy system.
Yes, you do. We would like a rower, please.
Right.
Brock.
I'm sure. However, there won't always be one. I'm not saying there never is, and we've had one before, but I think that being able to test, like if we're at the game, we're, like you say, that's the whole point of being at a place like that, is we get to really test your fitness, actually. And instead of being on a regular bike, we had real bikes in 23.
Yeah.
So
that was
we
cool.
like to do those types of things, instead of just the norm. We want to test you guys outside your box. Where maybe you could train for some of the events, but some of them are going to be impossible to train for.
I love that.
The tall, strong girl wants a row, though.
Yeah, but also, like, I think one of our big, like, objectives as a team is to use the space and to use it well. And anybody can sit in a gym and get on a rower. I mean, you can do that in every CrossFit affiliate in the United States and elsewhere, the whole world. But really, you can't run up LND Mountain, which, by the way, should take about 1:50 if you're sprinting, Stella. So just file that one away. But yeah, but not everybody can do that, right? But everybody can get on a rower. So we don't want to be crazy. We're not trying to put on a circus, but we also want it to be, and there's that element of functional fitness too. Like, there's not very many settings except in a competition where you're going to be sitting on a rower. But there are going to be lots of settings in your life where you're hiking or having to go distances or having to do things like that. So we also want it to be a true test of fitness and not just, I don't know, performance.
And you want to stay varied. I mean, you've used the rower in the open, the quarters, semis.
That's true.
Well,
that did happen. Right? We did use the rower in the open quarters and semifinals.
I don't even remember. I just was saying.
Yeah, it was all.
I was just making up stories.
Yeah, but really though, I mean, I think it's fun too. I think kids walk away from it kind of like that was a totally unique experience, and I loved it. We paddleboarded one year.
That's fun. I do remember like one thing from the games. I was standing in line with like 4 other girls for that sprint. I turn around and there's a big sand hill behind me. I didn't even see it. And I go, oh my gosh, what is that? And I turned back around and they're like, all right, 10 seconds. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I didn't realize there was like 6 of them. 6 sand hills.
You saw a couple of them on the 600 meter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sprint. Yeah, Jerry always tends to make a 600 meter about 700 meters too.
It was not 600 meters,
which is fine because everybody's running the same distance. I always kind of laugh at that a little bit when everybody's all upset that the run wasn't exactly a distance. It's like, did everybody run the same distance?
Right.
Did some people ran 500 and some people ran 700? I missed that part. Oh, okay. Then shut it.
Tell them they should cut the corners a little closer, then quit swinging so wide if you're running farther.
Right. Yeah. Quit running like this.
Right. Run straight.
But it was just like one hill after another. You got over that first hill, you're like, okay, maybe I have like 1 more, 2 more. Nope. Just kept going. You didn't even know. You didn't know how many there was. Just kept going. Like a little surprise.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Praying for the unknown, right?
Yeah. So let's talk controversial a little bit. Talk about that sled event and what happened with that.
I love it. Perfect. So earlier, like I said, we take this very serious, right? Mm-hmm. This is a world championship, and
let's break it down. What's the sled event too? Make sure you tell what it is before we go, or before, yeah. For those who don't know,
it was a sled sprint event that was like an elimination round. So there were 3 different advancements. Mm-hmm. And basically it was all the athletes went first, and we broke it down. We eliminated some for the next one, and we eliminated some for the next one, and that was like the final. So basically where we were is we were tight on it was a very challenging event to run on my end, and I'm a big ownership guy, okay? So I'm going to kick this off with my end of ownership. Doing an event like that in a space like that was a lot harder than I anticipated. So along the way, we brought in a lot more people to help make sure that event went good. We had cameras on both ends. We actually had even a drone shot from the top, and our media guys had a specific laptop set up where I could go up and look at all of the action that had happened. So I was going up there a few times, obviously, because there was some tight stuff going on, but the controversial one if you haven't seen all the little sled emojis and stuff. I'm not laughing because I value that. I just, it's kind of funny, but so the Subiano boys, I love them, and I love their whole. I mean, I think their whole family is great, and I think their dad's cool, and their mom's awesome, and I know that they have a sister as well. Mm-hmm. So like they're coming in heavy, and they got a cheering squad, the Peanut Gallery. Cadre and all those guys, whatever you call it. They have a name, right? They have a name.
The Rowdy Boys.
What are they?
The Rowdy Boys?
The Rowdy Boys.
I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know.
They're rowdy. One time I was working the Jocko booth at the games, and they were giving them out, but they had a backpack full of Jocko drinks, and I'm like, those guys are doing work today. But anyway, the Subiano family and their coach filed an appeal after one of the events that he had ran into a sled. And initially, when it came to me, it was, I couldn't get this sled out of the way. I was ramming into it. And then I turned around and I kicked the camera guy, and it messed my whole thing up. And I'm like, oh, crap. Let's look at this, dude. Because I'm worried. I'm like, So I go in the warm-up area, and we have a very cordial conversation with the coach. First of all, CrossFit was advising me to only talk to the athlete. And I was kind of like, I want to talk to the parent and the coach as well, because I don't want this to drag on forever. I want to talk about it right now, put a nail in it, and be done. Mm-hmm. So we all talked about every scenario that had happened. I, showed him the video that I had. In my video, yes, he did hit the sled, but it was probably about a second or so, bam, bam, or 2 seconds, whatever. And then he flipped around and he kicked the camera guy. But I mean, he didn't go down. He flipped up. I didn't see him kick the camera guy in the video, but I'm not telling a liar or whatever, but he flipped up and he just kept going. He didn't flip up and come down. He flipped up and kept going. And he didn't pause either, in my opinion. He just flipped up and went. Whether he kicked the guy or whatever, maybe, but my point is, it didn't slow him down a significant amount of time. Okay. In my opinion. But we were all watching the video together, and we were all kind of agreeing at that time. And we agreed on a second penalty, and then the second penalty put him out of the contention for the next round. And, it was a fast-paced workout. And like I said earlier, my ownership piece on this is that it was very, very hard to make sure it was all perfect. So for me to sit here and say that I didn't make a mistake after they went home and had an hour to analyze the video exactly wherever to get down to the point, I haven't done that. And I believe that, they did do that, and that maybe there was, I'm not admitting that there was maybe a mistake there, but I'd also say, I'm human, and I really, really tried super hard to make sure there wasn't a mistake. And I know he's a super fit dude. So that's hard. That's a hard one. I feel bad on my end too, if I jeopardize any type of his actual success or placement, but I handled it the best way I thought I knew how to handle it. And it was to get everybody involved right there in the moment, to get something figured out right there, and then have everybody agree on it and then move forward. And I guess, in my opinion, if they didn't agree on it at that time, maybe we should have went a little further with it. But I don't know what else to say about it besides the fact that, that we handled it on the fly as best we could.
Yeah.
What did you think about that, Stella? What I know you've heard. I saw you were just out there with all of them. I'm sure you got all kinds of good stuff from that crew.
Yeah, we're Switzerland.
I'm Switzerland.
So am I.
Don't take sides on anything.
I love them. I said that, and I love you guys. So we're Switzerland as well.
I love y'all, and I love the Subianos.
Here's where you guys pulled off a miracle. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
And the events something is going to go wrong anytime you have more than 4 people in a room. And you not only handle kids and teenagers and
parents handle parents too.
And I mean, it was a miracle. And I would like to know what you guys think went really well, because I think we need to highlight what went really well, what was maybe surprisingly sweet in the moment, and then what you learned from it, then that'll be better. I mean, I think just in a global kind of thoughts from you guys would be really meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I'm with Brock. Obviously, he's my leader, so I follow his lead as far as extreme ownership. So we always look at ourselves first. What we've done better? Where did we miss something? Where did we not communicate well? Where do we miss it? And there's always going to be that. And we dig. I mean, we dig, and we're sometimes definitely harder on ourselves, I think, even than maybe outsiders might be. But that said, there's still that element of like, all right, let's look at the big picture. So we went from we have a little tiny town of 7,000 people, this little affiliate in the middle of Southwest Michigan, who went from 46 athletes in 2020 during a global pandemic to running the CrossFit Games 4 years later, sought out by CrossFit to do that. Not because we're all like amazing event organizers, although we're pretty good, but that's not like what we've done professionally. Like, that's not like, I'm a nurse, like Brock's the coach at a high school. Like, that's not what we do. Like, that we haven't done that historically. So we go from 0 to 60 in just a few years. Next thing you know, we're putting on this world-class event that we had, just for context, y'all, we had 29 countries represented. So we went from having athletes we've had athletes from Costa Rica, Mexico, Brazil, Canada, Dominican Republic. So we've had a few countries represented, but we went from that to 29 countries. So that was 13 languages. This was also, just to put context to that, just imagine the expectation, right? So it went from being, we're coming to hang out at the pit to have our fun at the pit, to this is the CrossFit Games. This is the international championship for kids that, Stella, you've been working all year. You've been like doing all your thing, and we have to put on a really good, it's a production, honestly. It's a huge thing. So, and there's so many moving parts of all of that. So I think a lot of things went really well. And if the worst thing that happened is that there's a discrepancy and a score that, they followed we literally had CrossFit. We had Adrian Bosman there. We had people there helping us navigate those things. So like, if that's the worst thing that happened, so being a mom, being a nurse, and being a safety officer by default, nobody got hurt. I'm happy about that. Nobody got hurt. We didn't even have any medical incidents. Nothing. Nobody had to go to the hospital. Like, I'm really happy about that. Like, we had our evaluations were all very positive. The kids were like, yeah, we had a great time. So and our team, I mean, we learned so much. And we also went from being in our own backyard, literally Brock's backyard, to being at a venue now. I've never been in a venue, y'all. I didn't know nothing about no venues. Like, I didn't even know that, like, you had to have an ice plan, or you had to have, like, there's so many things behind the scenes, and I don't want to get into all that and bore this with that. But just so you know, there's a lot to it. So I feel like we took a big, big, big bite. And, if we have little crumbs from chewing as much as we chewed, we'll take that.
Don't mistake ownership for lack of confidence, because it's the opposite.
Right.
Actually, what we're doing is we're doing something that's very rare, here is I will talk. I will explain. If there's a question, I will answer. And even if it makes me look a certain way, I don't care. We don't want to, our pit doesn't want to hide from things. We want everything to be out and transparent and in the open. And if there's ever something like anything that comes up, we want to be out front like this ready to speak about it. We're never going to not answer an email or hide from a question or run from a hard situation, because that's the opposite of what we are. We take everything head on, sort of like Mayhem with the whole analogy of the buffalo, right? How you're into the storm. It's like, that's what we do. And we wouldn't do it any other way. And we're super proud of everything that we've done. And we hold all kinds of gratitude for this whole mission that we're on and where we've already been. And we have a huge and very optimistic and positive outlook towards the future. And our vision is not small. It's big, and it's a lot of things. And we don't plan to, slow down because there's a couple of mistakes. So don't get it twisted. It's not that. It's more like we are admitting our mistakes, we're learning from our mistakes, and we're moving forward with the intention to not have any in the future, even though we know that's not possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and we're proud of you kids too, Stella. I just want to say that real quick. And then we're proud of you guys, you kids. I'm not kidding. I can't tell you how much it warms our hearts when that you come up to us and you say, thank you so much, thanking the volunteers, being kind to Janie, to our athlete control team, being kind to your judges, just all that stuff. So you guys really showed up as well, you teenagers, which is where it's at. I mean, that's the whole point. So you guys all showed up. You put in the work, you showed up, and you did a great job.
I loved our athlete control team. They were great. Like, I remember they would line us up for a heat, and specifically the handstand walk event. They had this whole poster board to explain how it was ran, and it was like they had like a little magnet, and they'd be like, "Okay, so you're gonna go here, and then you're gonna go here." And I had so much fun just looking at that board. It was like a little TV show being put on. It was great. Like, everybody did a great job. I mean, y'all did really well for hosting the Teenage CrossFit Games for your first year. Like, round of applause. Like, I'm surprised.
Venue was awesome too.
I love the venue.
It was great. I mean, well done. I mean, there's gonna be issues anywhere, and but I mean, we had a great time.
We try to do it. I mean, yeah. So just for the record, I don't think there were issues everywhere at all. I think there were 2 maybe, and they were addressed, in my opinion, and put a pin in and moved on. So that's where I'm with that. I hold that as one of our most successful events ever. That one in the event that we held in 23 as well. Those 2 were amazing. And this year, moving into this year with Masters now, under the same roof in Columbus, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be really good. There's so many different plays we can make with this, and we're already talking about, all the different things.
So you want to spill some tea on this next season, possibly?
Got anything you can tell us that no one else knows?
Jeff knows all about the tea spilling.
Dude, I was just in Boston, you guys. I'm literally an hour out of Boston right now. I'm at a hotel for a conference, but I literally just pushed tea into the Boston Harbor the other day. But yeah, well, let's see. Well, the big news, obviously, is that we are joining with Legends. So Legends is like, we're prodigies, pit prodigies, and they're legends. So they've got the other end of the spectrum. They got the old people, we got the young people. And instead of being separate and us having our games and them having their game, we're joining forces. So it's going to be super fun. I don't know, Brock probably knows the final number, but we could see as many as 700 athletes ranging in ages from 14 all the way up into their 70s, because now they have a 70 plus division. So that's what it's going to look like in Columbus, Ohio, about a mile and a half from Rogue, and at the convention center there. And let's see, what else you guys want to talk about? I don't know. Brock probably knows.
Well,
Brock
they have the same workouts. Like, well, what are we doing? Are they going at the? What's happening?
Are you going to give me a rower?
Are you going to give Stella a rower?
We might have a rower, Stella. We may have a rower. I don't know.
Give the girl a rower.
So it's in the same building that they do the Arnold in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the Arnold's a pretty big and cool event. So this place is loaded with all the cool amenities. I mean, partnering with a group the size of Legends is a benefit to, it's a value add, if you will, to the rest of the masters group, because the teenage group, because we're able to secure a space like this. There's more money to fund this whole thing. And that was a struggle we ran into last year. And we knew that going into it, going to an arena and going to the pit. Like, to be honest, we were very tight last year, pulling that all off. So being able to partner with a group like this year and going to a bigger venue, maybe not cooler, but bigger. And then also all of the vendors that we're going to be able to secure. The vendor village is going to be just crazy. Like, I've already, Joe Linton, the director of Masters, we've been of Legends, we've been talking quite a bit, and he's already on, like, I think he said something like he has like 20 or 30 vendor booths already secured. So he's been hitting the ground running hard with locking those down. So we plan on having a really crazy vendor village. We've talked about having like this is some good dish for you, Stella. We talked about having a separate area, just like a fitness area. I don't know what you call it, like a fitness area, I guess, but for the community, where you would have like a couple pickleball courts, a yoga area, and then a community workout area with like potentially a brand like Mayhem running that area, that workout area. So things like we've done in the past, kind of, but at this venue, we can maybe turn it up a notch with things like a pickleball court or a couple local yoga people. But this is all just talks. This is what we're trying to do. Is we really want to bring the community together. We really feel like in this I'm a big culture person. Like, I want the culture. I want everybody to get along, and I want everybody to be happy and feel good about everything that they're doing and walk away from it just smiling, and obviously, without going too deep into some of the adversity that we're dealing with as a community right now, it's nice to get the kids back home, with everybody. And you have like that feel where it's almost like a little bit more of a family feel, where the masters and the teenagers are hanging out and we're under the same roof. And, you have some of those masters athletes coming over and mentoring some of the teens, mid comp, or the teenagers cheering on their dad or mom who might have qualified. We had a couple of those last year where they had to split, which wasn't cool, and it wasn't fun for us to have to, see them do that either. So the goal this year is community, is obviously priority at the games is always a high level event, but the second level is definitely community. And we want to make sure that everybody's having fun and it feels like it should feel at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, and this isn't my department because I'm not on the competition side of it, but I have sort of talked to Brock about, like, can you combine them in some way so that you actually have heats of teens going right alongside heats of masters? I don't know, or some sort of joint workouts. I don't know how that's going to work on, I think, 3 or 4 different floors. Not quite sure how that's all going to
looking at 4 different floors right now. Yeah. Well, the nice thing is having this big venue. I'm giving you some more stuff here. And all of this is like unofficial because, we're just talking, but like I say, I'm transparent. So the 4 floors could have things differently set up. Like, maybe we'll have turf on one floor. Maybe we'll have a double A-frame on another floor. Maybe we'll have a standard rig on another floor. Maybe we'll have a floor with, pegboards or plexiglass for handstand push-ups or something like that, right? So we can get really creative with this layout logistically, and it really allows us to open up the programming a little bit and utilize the space kind of in a unique way, if you will.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do you want to see, Stella? You're 16, 17?
Yeah, I moved up.
Don't say what you don't want to see.
I want rowing.
Just say what you want to see.
I want
put in what you don't want.
Have you been talking to any colleges about rowing yet?
The colleges are talking to Stella, but she's like,
about
rowing season's during CrossFit season.
She just wants to be a CrossFitter. Like, you can't convince her.
I could literally get into like Yale with rowing. But
then we would have to pay for Yale.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is there's a lot of colleges out there giving money for rowing right now.
Yeah.
A lot of money, like all of your school.
Yeah, she's getting recruited locally, like on the daily, but
Yeah, because I'm good at rowing. But I would like to see rowing with a heavy barbell. Since I finally moved up, I'm able to see some actual weight. It's totally backhanded.
Yeah, you had a heavy barbell last. Well,
you got to do the Olympic lifts.
I got to the Olympic lifts, which I was
sled
happy
push.
about. That was heavy.
Yeah, but that should have been leaned towards your strengths there, right?
Yeah, until you hit the handstand walks.
Womp womp
Yeah.
womp.
Womp.
But you did fine. You just had. I mean, that was just so quick. You couldn't mess that up at all.
I don't even remember that event. That's how quick it was. I don't recall doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
That was quick. Yeah.
I would like to see rowing and then heavy barbells and then maybe some fun odd object movement. I loved the D-ball event because it was just something nobody really does often. Or D-ball.
I love a D-ball too. I mean, I've used the D-ball quite a bit. I just think that the D-ball is a really easy piece of equipment to have a safe test. You know what I mean? And you're testing obviously a load. You know, you could carry, you could squat, you can do a lot of different things with the D-ball, just like a sandbag, but it's easier to like manage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like a torque tank would be really cool.
Those
at
are
the games.
Cool. Have you ever done murder bunnies?
What?
Murder bunny? You ever heard of that?
No.
Google it.
Someday. I'll Google it when we get off of this.
There you go. Yeah.
Stella, what do you think about the qualifying process this year, particularly the semifinal portion or the online qualifiers? Essentially, now you have to do them at a gym with a judge that has an L1 and has the advanced judges course. And so we essentially eliminated, or CrossFit eliminated one layer of qualification. So you go open, and then you're online semis. How are you feeling about that?
I have mixed feelings about it. On the good side, for me, I do like that the online process is done earlier in the year. Like you're done with the whole online process, which is so stressful. You're done with it in April. I like that, which gives you more months for games training. That's on the good side. On the not good side, on how I feel about it, is I loved quarterfinals. So I like that you go from the open, which is like, okay, you know, people can qualify for quarterfinals, go quarterfinals, and then you kind of get a feel of what semifinals might be like in quarterfinals. And it's like, okay, it's big dog time for semifinals. Yeah. So I think that's what I don't really like about it is you go straight from the open, which, you know, qualify for semifinals for the teens, and then you hit semifinals, and it's so much different than the open. So
what do you think about the qualifier for the pit team throwdown? Okay, 100 days. Every 10 days on the day, a workout drops. The last 10 days is a last chance qualifier. So the window will open for 10 days. So say the first workout is 7 minutes of burpees. It's not. It almost was. It's not. But say the first workout was 7 minutes of burpees. You have 10 days, a 10-day window. It's open. You can do it as many times as you want, and then it closes. It's done until the final 10 days where there's a last chance qualifier. So say you either want to redo some of your workouts outside of that 10-day window, or you want to do a couple of them that you couldn't do. Say you had an injured back or a whatever it is, you missed it, you had school or whatever. You can jump back in that last 10 days and button everything up, make sure all your videos are good and go. Because there's going to be a thumbs up, thumbs down process during the video review period. And say you have a bad video, you know, and you're doing really well, you're almost qualified for the pit. There's a bad video. You're able to jump in last chance qualifier time to redo that to try to get your score squared away before everything's final.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's really unique. That's a unique way to do it. It seems long. It seems really long though.
It's more of a league. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going for is like, we want you guys to stay engaged. Because like you said earlier, you know, when you see each other, it's like you hold your breath all season and then, hey, we see each other, you know, here. I mean, obviously you talked a little bit here and there, but engaging, it's another way to engage, you know, that's why we're doing it. Do you know who West Kitts is?
Yes, Wes Kitts, the Olympic lifter.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's an Olympian.
He doesn't know
Yeah.
it, but he's my boyfriend.
He is.
Oh, yeah, I know
He doesn't
who you're
it.
talking about.
Now Stella's like, oh yeah, that guy.
So
Yeah. Adorable.
Him and I are buddies, and he's programming the next 10 weeks after this. So Pitt Training League is strength conditioning league. It's like CrossFit, but for all your friends that are in high school sports, as well as you. But Wes is programming the next 10 workouts for that league that are coming out here in the summer. And a strength conditioning program. So we're affiliated with him. We've been talking to Nike, part of that league. So there's a lot of really cool things happening on that end.
So Stella, you're actually registered for the Pitt Training League qualifiers.
Yeah, she didn't know. I registered her.
So we can talk about, because you brought up something that I think is kind of important. So for games athletes, we'll just talk about CrossFit athletes. You qualify or don't qualify for the games. You'll know by mid-April if you made it or not. Then you've got from April all the way until August 20th to compete if you made the games. So 2 things. We're going to have a decent number of kids that don't make the games. Totally fine, whatever. Only 120 can make it. And then we also have a lot of time. So that's 4 months, right? And then we also have a lot of other kids. So last year, I want to say about 6,000 kids registered for the Open. That's worldwide. Do you know that Penn High School, which is about 20 minutes west of where I live, has almost that many students? So what I'm saying is there's a lot of kids out there. And we at the Pit really want to see those kids. And we want to see them have the opportunity to come and find some success in fitness, whatever that looks like. So what we've done this year is we've kind of had a couple opportunities for anybody to be able to compete, come to the Pit, hang out. So if you're a games athlete and you're like, dude, I need something to do between April and August, and I'm going to the Pit, and I'm going to be in the Pit Training League, which I could totally see you being in that inaugural championship. But anyhow, then you come to the Pit in June, you compete, you're doing one workout every 10 days. It's no big deal. You'd be doing it anyway. And then then you'll make the games in August, and we'll see you there too. And then if you aren't a CrossFit person, but you're just, I don't know, on the football team, then you do Pit Training League, come to the Pit, come hang out. Or if you're a CrossFit person and you want to compete in the Pit Team Throwdown as well as the games, there's just couple different routes. See what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way we have Pit Fest set this year is it's June 25th or 29th. So it's a weekend right before 4th of July. And it's basically a festival where we're going to have everybody from 14-year-olds all the way up until really old people who are doing the indie games, like for that whole weekend. So it's a great midsummer way to sort of augment your training if you're training for it. Just come have fun. It'd be a great way, in my opinion, even for games athletes who are just come have fun at the Pit. You don't have to get all serious about it. Ain't the games, just come throw down. Yeah, and then doing the qualifiers is just a fun way to, like Brooke said, stay engaged with all your buddies. Everybody's doing the same workouts every 10 days, something like that. So that was kind of our vision, and we're kind of just pulling it together now.
Yeah. I've got a really random question, though. Do y'all have any idea, what the sponsor is for the games? The main sponsor, clothing-wise? No?
No, we don't know yet. No. We don't.
How did you feel about Northern Spirit? It looks like is that one of the shirts you're wearing right now?
I love Northern Spirit.
Yeah. Stella's one of their athletes now.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
We like Northern Spirit.
They're on my list to give a call here pretty soon.
Yeah, I love their stuff.
Barbell Voodoo. Quality. We talked to Barbell Voodoo about Pit Fest. They're awesome too, honestly. Mm-hmm. And they do tons of custom stuff. And they were talking about dropping a whole new line for younger people during the Pit Fest event.
That would be fun for the
They're
festival.
Cool. They're just cool people. Yeah. Barbell Voodoo. They do a lot of charity stuff, and they're good people.
Yeah. What do you do for a little market research, Stella? I for 5-6 years now, I've done t-shirts and sweatshirts and some hats and wristbands. What do you guys want to see? I mean, I have an 18-year-old daughter. I'm always asking her, like, what do you kids want? Like, what do you want to wear? Like, I want to be like maybe a bit original and maybe new and on the cutting edge of what you.
I mean, I think other teens would agree with me on this. I think we all just love the shirts with our last names on it. Just the classic shirts with our numbers on it. It's something about it. It's just special.
Crop tops and crew necks with our names on it.
Crop tops and crew necks with their names on it. I think that would be
cool. You're echoing what I said we have a guy locally, just a cool dad. He's a dad of one of Brock's powerlifters. And I told him, his name's Eric. I'm like, you put their name on something and these kids will love it. It don't matter what it is. You put their name on it. So that every event, we always get you as much personalized attire as we can afford.
Yeah, I mean, I would because the girls, we only got crop tops and then like tank tops. I would like a t-shirt along with that. T-shirt would
like
be cool.
Oversized or regular?
Just like a regular t-shirt, and then, we can have the choice to make it oversized if we want. So like a large, I think that would be cool.
Something to wear when you go out and get dressed up on the weekends.
Something to wear with your jeans,
your dressy t-shirt.
Right.
Dressy t-shirts.
No, I mean, all right. We're taking notes, Stella. We're listening.
Okay. I should have asked other people too about this.
Yeah, it's a question.
We'll take any market research you want to give us.
Comment on the YouTube video or the Instagram if you have constructive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I mean, we used to do headbands. I feel like kids aren't wearing that anymore. We've done hats before. People really love like the Pit boonie hat. They like that one. Different things, wristbands. We
have a sweet logo for our Blue Racer 5K, which is going to be at Pit Fest. It's going to be like an OCR / like Metcon race. It's a 5K run, but there's like obstacles and a couple little metabolic challenges throughout it. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be on day one of Pit Fest for like parents and maybe some of the volunteers or the kids if they want to kick it off a day early. That event's going to be cool. It has a really sick logo. It has a Blue Racer snake on the hat, or we want to get hats, but it's like minor league baseball vibes. Blue Racer snake. We have Blue Racer snakes on the property. They don't bite you, but they are fast and they will chase along sometimes. Yeah, you got to they're rare to see. They're kind of like a box turtle. You know what a box turtle? You have box turtles?
I mean, I knew there were some turtles in the pond when I was there for the camp.
Yeah, turtles and some of their friends.
Yeah, I felt something like tickling my toes at one point.
Yeah, you gotta watch out, dude.
I was like,
you know what you're gonna run into in there.
No thanks.
We have freshwater jellyfish too. At the end of the summer, freshwater jellyfish in our pond.
Oh my gosh, no thanks.
Yeah. It's the pit. It's crazy.
Yeah. So. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about? Get out there in the world.
I just wanted to ask you one last question, Stella. So you mentioned that you just want to do CrossFit, right? Yeah. And what do you see? So you're 16 or 17, 16. Okay. So what do you see for your age group, if you will, for the future, for CrossFit as a sport, I guess I would say, like where do you see us going, or what do you want to see?
So I only have 2 more years in this division, and hopefully the whole CrossFit Games individual thing will get itself sorted out by the time I get out of here, out of this teen division.
By the time I get out here.
By the time I get out here. But I do see like the teens really taking off in the next 4 years and becoming a big thing. I could see a bunch of more teens registering in the open. I think it's very important that happens and teens get out in the world, in the CrossFit world specifically. Because, you see Tia Claire Toomey, Matt Frazier, you see the whole individual category. But the teens and the masters and adaptive don't get a lot of spotlight. And so,
yeah, and that's what we're doing the other things for. Like, that's why we're doing pit training. That's why we're doing pit team throwdown, because we want to try to build those farm clubs, if you will, for the games. because we want to do the same thing. We want to grow this, expand this whole thing. So I think encouraging your friends, getting pit team throwdown is big. I mean, pit training league.
Well, and like one of the things I see, I've talked about this so many times, I'm sorry, it's like a broken record, but when I grew up in Olympic weightlifting, it was very small. No one knew what it was. Like we did all of our competitions in a hotel ballroom. The American Open was 5 hours long instead of 5 days and 10 times a year. And that was only, 20 years ago. So like my sort of vision for CrossFit for the teens is sort of the same thing. I mean, I can see Stella talking to her kids someday and being like, when I was doing CrossFit in high school, I had to tell this girl in my art class what it was. And she looked at me like I was crazy.
That's what happened today.
Yeah. But everyone 20 years from now is going to know. And I think that the kids that are out there now are building that foundation and you guys are building that foundation. With social media and being out there and being good examples of fitness and health. And so I think, but it's up to this generation. Like it really is. People are discounting the fact that this sport will not be a sport. It may, there'll be affiliates, there'll be people doing it, but as a sport, it will not exist if people keep ignoring this young generation.
I totally agree. And that's why we started the Pit Training League. I just want to reiterate that. Because the Pit Training League is accessible to every single kid, period. That isn't anything athletic in your life. And
one last little bit of tea related to that, Brock, we didn't even mention that we are having the Pit Collegiate Throwdown or some form thereof of that division. So that 18 to 22, 23, that group there at the CrossFit Games in a community division. So we are making very concerted efforts to not just cut it off at 18, 17, but to really take that middle division where you're not quite ready you're definitely not going to hang with the big boys, except for a few anomalies, James and Dallin and people like that. But to really work with those collegiate aged athletes. And so you will see some form of the Pit Collegiate Throwdown at the CrossFit Games for the age groups, as well as probably back at the Pit this summer too. So we're paying very close attention to that particular demographic because, in my opinion, that's where I won't say we're missing it. That's where if you need to put your focus at least there to some degree, or else you're missing a whole gap. You're just allowing that gap to be there, and then they fall away and go wherever they go. Yeah.
That's really exciting. I missed that memo that they're going to be at the games. That's really cool. Good job, guys.
Well, thank y'all for coming on and spilling the tea about the things that people want to hear,
Of course. Anytime for you, Stella. We want to help you, so let us know how we can.
Thanks, guys.
And big shout out to you, Stella. I know I keep saying last thing, but big shout out to you because I see your posts. I listen to your podcast, and you are the only teen that I know that is going after it quite this hard, this consistently, this like deliberately and intentionally. And that is what a leader is. And you got it, girl. So you just keep doing it.
Keep leading, girl.
I'll give a shout out to my mom too. She's
shout out,
here to help. I don't need any shouts.
No, you need to shout. She raised me and helps out a lot. So
thanks, Stella.
Aww.
You're welcome.
Aww.
Shout out to you, Mom.
Thanks.
You raised her right because she's giving you credit.
I know.
There you go.
I was gonna say I'm all for giving the moms the credit.
I know. Round of applause for moms.
We got good kids here. Well, thank you. We appreciate y'all.
See you guys. Have a good one.
King of the jungle, heart of a lion. 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch out, here I come. This is my time.